All doing well, and welcome to the third feedback session. So this is Wednesday. This is what we call hump day. Normally when we do these challenges, like Monday and Tuesday, you're really excited because it's all new, and then it gets to Wednesday and then you start going downhill a little bit, you start getting tired, and then it gets to Thursday and you start getting a little bit more energy as you close in on the end. So if you're feeling a little bit tired and you're feeling a little bit unmotivated, don't worry, it's totally natural for that to happen. And what I would suggest you do is, like as I said at the beginning of the challenge, like try and block out 45 minutes or 1 hour a day, or 30 minutes and 30 minutes, some part of your day. Just block that out away from your friends, family, children, work, whatever, and just focus on this, because it really will save you a huge amount of time and a huge amount of money if it means that you pass the test next time you do it, because we don't want people failing the test and wasting time and stuff like that. So I'm going to give you feedback on your work. Before we do, just let me check that on my phone that we're live and everything. If you can hear me and see me, just let me know that we are live. So 9 comments already. There's a lot of people today. Let me see. Feedback session 3. Save. Okay, so let's see who's live. A huge amount of money. So, and I'm going to mispronounce all your names, so sorry about that. Lucas, that's easy. Christian, that's very easy. Hi, Chris from Edinburgh. I love Edinburgh. Edinburgh is one of my favourite cities in the world. Thorny Rose, Boriga, Jinan, Diraj, Sabah, Gurpreet, Ani, Ranjit, Ahmed. Excellent, all good to go. Okay, so as before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you feedback. What I decided to do today was I looked at all of your submissions, all of the things that you did, and I picked out 4 common mistakes. So there were 4 things that many of you did, not incorrectly, but you're not there yet. There's things that you could improve, and I took different examples, different people's examples showing those mistakes. I'm not talking about like small grammar mistakes or vocabulary mistakes. I'm talking about development mistakes, like not developing your ideas properly or not writing the paragraph properly. Bigger things than that. And then I'm going to show you a better sample. So I picked out one student, not the best student, but somebody who's doing a really good job. And then I've created 2 samples myself. So I'm going to show you what I would do for that. And let's get going, because I'm really tired. And, okay, so this was the question. So I'll just remind you all about the question. Just let me check that. A huge amount of money. Okay, so just let me check that this is working properly, because Facebook is not showing it to me. Yep, seems to be. Just let me double check it again, because sometimes it just doesn't work, and I'm afraid of okay, seems to be okay. Yeah, I'm just afraid of doing a whole lesson and not realizing that there's some sort of technical problem, which is why I don't like live video. But anyway, none of you spotted this, but I made a typo when I did the lesson earlier on. I said other instead of others. So apologies for that. This was the last slide of the lesson, and I think my brain just stopped working when I was proofreading all of this. But yeah, I made one small mistake there, so apologies for that. Okay, so here's the question, and what I asked you to do was just pick one side and write one paragraph. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to look at examples of common mistakes, talk about how we could improve them, and show you some good samples. Okay, so common mistake number 1. So I'm going to show you several of these, and I want you to think about what the mistake is. So here's the first one. It's not a full paragraph, it's part of the paragraph. And if this is yours, do not worry. Making mistakes and failing is part of improvement. It's the most important part of improvement. So if you see any of your work, do not lose confidence. It's part of improving. Here's the second one. What do you think is the problem with that one? Here's this third one. And here's the fourth one. So all these 4 things have something in common. What do you think it is? Any ideas? A huge amount of money. No? Not getting any ideas? Okay, let me tell you. So topic sentence for these ones, topic sentences have no topic. Okay, so we have 4 here, and there's nothing which really says what they think about it. So you should have a main point that explains why someone would think this point of view. So let's look at this. On one hand, there are some companies which gather personal data. That's just repeating what the question says. It's not giving a reason. In several companies, employers give high regard to their employees so much that they are concerned of their staff's capabilities as well as liabilities that could possibly affect their job. So again, basically saying the exact same thing as the question, but not giving any ideas. No, there's no individual ideas there. On the other hand, sharing personal information in such occasions should be completely prohibited. Okay, so this one is making an attempt. They're saying it shouldn't be the case, but again, there's no reason. So you should have a reason here in your topic sentence. There's no main idea. This one, it is relevant for an employer to ask personal information from people who look for jobs in their company. So this is the same as the previous one. They're taking a position, but they're not giving any reason for that. Okay, so you must always have in your topic sentence the reason. Don't just repeat what is in the question. Common mistake number 2. So here's one, and here's another one. What mistakes, or what big mistake do you think for this one? So not grammar, not vocabulary, nothing like that. Just have a read and tell me what you think. Okay, so the problem with these ones is the explanation does not explain anything. So the explanation should explain your main point. The explanation should explain something. The explanation should help the reader understand what the writer thinks about this point. It should help the reader, not hinder the reader. Okay? So if your explanation is making things more difficult for the reader, then it's doing the opposite of what it should do. The explanation should make things clearer, it should make things easier to understand. That's why we explain things. We explain things to make them easier to understand. So what you should be doing is taking your main point and explaining what that means, explaining how it answers the question. If you're not doing that, you're making it more difficult for the reader, and you're doing the opposite of what you should do. So that's something that a lot of you need to think about. And what you should be doing as we're going through this feedback is looking at your own and thinking like, so the first common mistake, There was no topic, no idea in the topic sentence. There was no topic in the topic sentence. So did your topic sentence have a topic? If it did, great. If it doesn't, you need to fix that. Then your explanations. Did your explanation actually explain that topic? Did your explanation explain that idea? Did it make it easier for the reader to understand what you meant? Third common mistake. So let's have a look at this and a look at this one. All right. What do you think are the problems with this one? So have a read, spend a couple of minutes just thinking about this one. And what do you think is a common mistake? Both of these have the same mistake. Okay, so hopefully you've had a time to read that. Both of these have ineffective examples. The examples are not effective. The examples do not help support the point, and that's what you should be focusing on with these ones. So look at your examples and think, are they specific? Do they make sense? Do they support the main point? Are they logical? For these ones, so that let's look at this one in a bit more detail. On the one side, having personal details would render employers to outline working. So they're talking about working schedules. Not very clear, but talking about schedules here. As many individuals have different mindsets based on their social and economical conditions, they prefer a role. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Thus, by using such private information, this liberal approach. Okay. So they're basically saying that the more information an employer has about their employees, they'll be able to give them different working schedules, different shifts. Then the example says, a study suggests that it would be easy to work in night shifts or to work overtime for unmarried employees. So this example is kind of related, but it's not really related. So if the example said something like talking about employers found it easier to match employees with an appropriate schedule based on their preferences, if it talked about that, then it would be an effective one. But this is, this doesn't really match up with what they're saying. Same with this one. A recent survey illustrates that 70% of employees who work in night shifts in multinational companies are singles. Again, doesn't really match up with what you're saying. So this is something that you should think about. Look at your example and think about whether it is effective or not. Mistake number 4. This is the whole paragraph. What do you think is the problem here? So this is the whole paragraph. The other ones I cut up a little bit out. This is the whole one. Nothing else to add to it. So there's no opinion. All right. If you look at the official marking criteria, it says that your opinion, your position should be clear throughout your essay. A number of you have said, why do I have to do that? Can I not just put it in the conclusion? Why do I have to put it in the introduction? Why do I have to put it in the main body? Can I not just leave it and put it somewhere else? I'm following exactly what the official marking criteria says and what the examiners will be thinking about. So that's always a good idea to follow that, and that's why we have that. So a number of you just didn't put any opinion in whatsoever. So a better one, this isn't the best one, but one that I thought was pretty good, and I'll tell you why I think it's pretty good. On the one hand, the provision of personal information might benefit both the applicants and the companies. Okay, so they're saying that this is a good idea because it benefits both sides. All right, so it's a good thing because it brings benefits. This could be a little bit more specific, I think, but at least they have an idea. At least they have some sort of topic. Many of you didn't have any topic at all. This could improve it. Of course, it could improve, but at least they tried. At least they did something. This is because knowing exactly the needs of employees would help bosses efficiently fulfill their staff's requirements. As a result, these staff would have a great sense of happiness and job satisfaction, which may improve their productivity at work and enhance companies' profits. So a clear explanation. So they've said it benefits both sides, and here are the reasons why it benefits both sides. This is because, so they're explaining what that means, and then they're talking about the result, which is very good. It's very clear, it's easy to understand. And then they've used a good example. For example, Apple provide their workers with physical and entertaining facilities within their workplaces, which helps them relieve stress and recharge themselves and greatly contribute to the success of this giant enterprise. Okay, it's a little bit wordy, there's some mistakes in it, but overall it's quite a good example. It could improve, a lot of things could improve, but at least it's clear, it's easy to understand, they're doing the right things. However, this essay disagrees with this view because if this private information were exposed to the public, it would invade their privacy. Excellent, very good, very clear, and a clear reason. Alright, so I've said clear about 20 times here, because if you look at not most, but a lot of your paragraphs, the thing that really you really need to work on is coherence, whether it's clear and whether it's easy to understand. For many of you, if a reader, an examiner was looking at it, they would find it difficult to understand what you mean, because you either have no topic or you have a explanation that makes it more difficult to understand rather than easier to understand, or you ineffective examples, or you've just no opinion or a very unclear opinion. None of you had all of those mistakes, but enough of you had at least one of those mistakes. So you're never going to get this immediately correct just after one lesson. The main thing to do is to look at yours and honestly reflect on it and honestly think about how you could improve. So let's have a look at what I did. So here's my sample. On the one hand, time outside of work should not be taken into account because it can lead to unfairness. So my main idea here is it's unfair. Alright? So what you do in your own time, how you spend your time, what you do should not be considered because it's unfair. Alright? This is what other people think. So now I need to explain this. This is due to the fact that people can be unfairly made a mistake, judged, that's showing how tired I am, judged based on their lifestyle, and this prejudice could lead to someone missing out on an opportunity they deserve. So that's an explanation explaining why it's unfair. For example, some married women with children in the United Kingdom have been rejected for a role because a company feared they would spend more time and energy on their family than fulfilling their work duties. Okay. However, this essay disagrees with this view because certain recreational activities make some people unsuitable for some jobs. So, clear idea, clear topic sentence, clear explanation, clear example supporting the main idea, and an opinion here. Okay, next one. On the other hand, a person's interests are often indicative of career performance. So my idea is this should be considered, a person's interests, what they do outside of work should be considered because it affects their performance. In other words, how someone decides to spend their free time shows who they really are. So it reveals their personality. If this is in conflict with the demands of the job, an employer has the right to know before they make the decision to hire. To illustrate, if a prospective employee is very interested in adrenaline sports, it may indicate that they are an inherent risk taker and would not be suitable for a job that requires risk management, such as a hedge fund manager. For these reasons, this essay agrees with this side of the argument. Alright, so again, the focus with this one is on clarity. Stating the reason, explaining the reason, supporting the reason, and then having a clear opinion on it. Alright, and that's something that a lot of you were lacking. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take your questions. I'm not going to stay for a full hour today because I'm really, really tired. As you can see, I do not look good. I've been dealing with hundreds and hundreds of questions from you guys. It's great to get so many questions, but it does take a long time to process through them and get to everybody. We do not normally have this number of questions because we're dealing with 2,500 people, which is great. To get such interest and, you know, so many people wanting to improve, but it does take a toll on me. So let me... Arshdeep, my previous teacher told always to do writing task 2 first in the exam because it carries more marks. I agree that that's a good idea, but I don't agree with the reasoning. Task 2 is worth more marks, but one of the main reasons why people do badly or why people get a 6.5 is because they don't focus enough on task 1. They put too much emphasis on task 2. They spend too much time on task 2. They spend too much preparation time on task 2, and they ignore task 1. Not ignore it, but just don't spend enough time on it. And task 1 academic, especially, students in general, do quite poorly in it. So it doesn't really matter whether you do task 1 or task 2 first. What matters is that you spend 40 minutes on task 2 and 20 minutes on task 1. And I would suggest, depends on your strengths and weaknesses, but I would suggest you spend 50% of your preparation time on task 2 and 50% of your preparation time on task 1, because in general, task 1 is more difficult and task 1 is just, students just don't prepare enough for it. Shambu, you made a mistake. You said, I believe. Please check. No, I didn't make a mistake. It's fine to say, I believe. It's a common misconception that you can't use it. In general, you should avoid using personal pronouns, but if you want to give your opinion, it's fine to say, I. It's fine to do that. A number of you are asking multiple questions, so I'm going to ignore multiple questions for now, just to try and give everyone a fair chance to get a question answered. What if someone expresses a mixed or partial opinion? You can do that if you want, but it's far more difficult to do it, and people mess it up. So I don't recommend doing it. You can do it if you want, but it's just you're making your life more difficult. Can my opinion come before my explanation? So again, yesterday we discussed this. I told you exactly what to do, and all you have to do is just copy me and just follow exactly what I did. And half the questions were, can I change this? Can I change that? Can I do this? Can I do that? What can I do it 17 different ways? You can if you want, but I really don't have time to discuss with people all of the different ways that you can do things. Why not make everybody's life easier and just follow what I suggested that you follow? Like, that might be a good idea. Of course ask questions, of course ask concerns or whatever, but it's getting a little bit tiring now to, you know, constantly be answering the same questions. Examples should match with the main sentence or explanation. Of course, yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know why people would think that it should be different, but of course it must be coherent. All right, so your main idea, explain that main idea, support that main idea with an example. I don't know why people don't do that, but they do, so it's a good idea. Should explanation contain reasons to support the main idea? Yes, that's what it's doing. a number of you were writing a topic sentence and then writing an explanation about something completely different and then writing an example about something completely different again. That's totally incoherent. Why would you do that? Imagine you're speaking to somebody and they say to you, did you watch the football last night? And you say, and you say yes, and then you start talking about a movie. And then they'd be like, what? And then you start talking about what you're doing next weekend. Like, there's no connection between anything you're saying. Why do you think you can write in that way? Again, I don't know why people do that, but they do. This is a really good one. I've never heard of this one before. Some people say that we should give our views in 70-30 ratio. That's the funniest thing I've seen all day. So you're saying that you should agree with one side 70% and agree with another side 30%. How exactly do you do that? How do you agree with something 70% and something 30%? Do you write the percentages? Whoever told you that, run away from them very quickly, because they do not understand what they mean, what they're talking about. Samira, what I learned is that you can never agree with both sides. Am I right? You can if you want. It's very difficult to write an effective essay in that way. The way I teach people, and my whole approach to teaching IELTS, is to make your life and make your learning, make your essays as simple and as straightforward as possible. Because one of the main reasons why many of you are doing or are failing or not getting the scores you need is because you're so confused with all this nonsense that your teachers and websites and YouTube are telling you. Like the person just talking right now, like talking about 70%, 30%. It's not that person's fault. It's the teacher or the website or whatever it is telling them that. There's so many people just talking nonsense. By the way, sorry that I'm like really tired. It's just I'm answering the same questions again and again and again. Lucas, just do what I suggested that you do in the structure. You can change it if you want, but you know. When are you going to discuss the conclusion? Tomorrow. Can you check all of the essays? No, I can't. I can't check all of the essays. I cannot bend the rules of time. It takes time to do individually check stuff, and I do not have that time. Does discussion essays commonly appear higher than the test than in other essays? No, it's a really, really bad idea to try and predict what type of essay it's going to come up and then focus on that one, because you're gambling. If the gamble pays off, great, but it's highly likely that the gamble will not pay off. So you have to prepare for everything. Praveen, I've mentioned that many times. What if I can't think of an example? Can I just elaborate the idea further? No, always put an example. Do we have to talk about both interests and hobbies and marital status? They were just giving examples of personal information. So they were talking about personal information such as interests, hobbies, marital status. So you don't have to talk about interests, then hobbies, then marital status. You just talk about, in general, personal information if you want. how can I detect that my sentence has no topic? Good question, Lucas. Read it, and if it doesn't have a topic, if it doesn't have an idea that you thought of, then it doesn't have one. I don't understand the question. It's kind of like saying, how can I tell if it's raining by looking outside? Because if there's water falling out of the sky, then it's raining. If there's no idea, then you don't have an idea. Sorry if that sounds like I'm being smart or something, but I just seems like an obvious thing. In doing the main body paragraph, do we really do the disagree first? Yes, because that's the way. I'm just trying to find questions that haven't been asked constantly. May the topic sentence be a little bit longer if it helps us logically connect it? Yeah, you can do that. Topic sentence should have reason or explanation. No, topic sentence is just a short, simple sentence that says, this is what the rest of the paragraph is about. When are we going to do conclusions? Tomorrow. Can we use fake examples? Yes, but they must make sense. They must support your main idea. How do we deal with to what extent do you agree or disagree? Exactly the same way as agree or disagree. There's no difference. Saba, from today's challenge, if I write about the full name, previous employment history, will that essay be wrong? Let me check. No, because it's talking about like personal information such as stuff that you do outside of work, not your name and stuff like that. Like your interests, your hobbies, your lifestyle, you know. How to self-assess whether I fully developed the idea and position. You can look at it yourself, but obviously it's best to get someone to get feedback on it from someone. But if you just want to do it yourself, look at the examples and look at everything that we've talked about today, and that will be able to do it. Is it okay to only have one explanation? No. There's a lot of questions about interests, hobbies, and marital status. They're just talking about so let me show you this. Let me see if this is working. Not sure if this is working. There's a big red cross in the middle. Let me see if it's working. The system's telling me it's not working, so I don't know whether it is or not. Okay, seems to be working. My system is telling me it's not. Hmm. Okay, seems to be working. My system is telling me it's not. Okay, it's working again. Alright, let me go through. I've lost my place, so I'm just gonna go through. Your copyright footer says 2017. So, what? Um, will there be other challenges on listening and reading? No, there won't be. As you can see, these challenges are extremely tiring, and I will have to take time off after it, because it's just so much work. So no, I won't be doing any more anytime soon. We do like one every 6 months, because it really, really takes a toll on me. So. So I've lost my place. So right now I'm at the bottom. Basically, Facebook kicked me off, and it's only showing me the last like 10 questions. So if you've asked a question that hasn't been asked 100 times today, feel free to ask it again, and I'll try and answer it. Good question. Shush Marjorie. When we start a new paragraph, is it mandatory to start with a phrase like on the one hand, firstly, secondly? No, it's not at all, and often I don't use them at all. You don't have to do it. No. Discussion questions, it's quite good to do it. Conclusions, I would always put, in conclusion. But for main body paragraphs and introductions, no, you don't have to use them. Good question. A question that hasn't been asked today. Anybody else? Any other questions? Because I can't see the rest of yours, so feel free to. Do you plan to organise any other 5-day challenges for the other essay types? No. If you want the other essay types, there's the VIP course, which is opening again on Saturday. Lucas, you should have a rest. I know. But the thing is, if I don't answer these questions, I'm going to get them via email. So better just to do it now, and then I can go and rest. Can we write benefits in perception of employees? Bridja Patel. I don't understand what that means. Do you mean, can we write the benefits from the perception of the employees? Yeah, sure. If that's what you mean, then yeah. Can I get other types of structure for different types of questions? Suvarana. So for the 10th time this week, at least 10. This is the 10th time I've explained this. No, because they will not be useful for you, and they will probably lower your score, because you don't need just general structures. You need in-depth explanation on how they work. Sorry if this is your first time joining us, but yeah. Alright, any more questions, guys? Chris, will you be able to share your slides? No, I do not share my slides, because there are many unscrupulous IELTS teachers and IELTS schools out there who would take the slides, adapt them, and then pretend that they made them themselves. So I'm not going to do that. I need some sample essays full. Where can you find these? Go to IELTS Advantage, and you can find them there. Mercy, thank you very much, Mercy, for saying thank you. Rukir, hi Chris, I'm attempting challenge 3, but I'm not sure whether I've done it correctly. So what you can do is just have a look at the feedback at the start of the video, and then compare yours with what we said. It will help us to apply and understand all 3-day tips. I don't understand what that means. Shano, do they give you a rough sheet of paper? Yes, they should. I haven't worked in every single IELTS test center in the world, but the ones that I have, they do give rough paper, but check with your local center. For agree or disagree essays, do we need to put our opinion at the end of each main body paragraph? No, you don't. You do it in a completely different way. Chris, can you tell me today's topic sentence was the only issue in the body paragraph, please? Can you tell me today's topic sentence was the only... Are you talking about your individual work? I don't know. There's so many of them. I can't go and check on a live lesson how that works. If my opinion... If against the... If my opinion is against the very obvious issue, will this affect my score? No. You can say something, you can argue something that 0.01% of the world believes, and 99.99% of the world disagrees with you. But if you explain it properly and you support it with a good example, then that's great. It doesn't need to be something that a lot of people agree with. In these 5 days are sufficient for us to reach a band 7. It depends on whether you do the work and what you do, and definitely for a discussion essay, it'll definitely help you with that. But obviously, there's a limit to the amount we can do. Any good source of vocabulary available online? Yes, any English website, any news website, or anything at all, as long as you're looking at it. Continue to give us tips, please. Okay. How many hours required on daily basis for IELTS preparation? It's impossible to answer because some people 1 hour, some people 8 hours. I would need to know your specific circumstances before I would be able to, but probably a lot more than you currently are doing. So again, there's most of the questions are like, can I change your structure in this way? Do whatever you want to do, but I can't continue just to answer the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. Can the examiners deliberately mark us lower? No, because they're using objective criteria. They're using the official marking criteria. So they can't, it's not subjective. It's not like they don't like the look of your handwriting or something. I have a problem with going off topic. Is there something, how can I avoid it? Yeah, analyze the question in the way that we suggested, like look at the general topic and then look at the specific topics within the general topic and then stick to that. So what you would do is you would look at the specific thing and then you would think of specific ideas, you would explain those specific ideas, you would support those specific ideas with examples, so everything is linked and joined together in that way, and that would really help you. So I'm just not answering any more questions about what if I change your structure in this way, and what if I do this and what if I do that. Like it doesn't make any sense Like, if you went to the hospital, imagine you have a car accident and you go to the hospital. Would you just let the doctor save your life? Or would you be like, what are you doing there? Like, why don't you change this? And what's that? And why don't you try this different technique? And can I? Or would you just let the expert do what they're supposed to do? Do I need to put a space between paragraphs? Yep, that'd be good. How can we check our mistakes after the release of our marks? You can't. I don't agree with that. I think you should be able to do that, but they don't allow you to do that. Does task 1 have a major effect on your writing score? Yes, it is 1/3 of your total score, so yes, very much so. Is there any possibility of getting a good score if I go off topic? No. Because it's an extremely easy thing to do. It's just write about the topic that you've been asked about. So it's a sign that you just do not know how to write, or you do not know how to understand a question. Sharika is asking about conclusions. We're going to do that tomorrow. In the case that there are multiple topics in the question, such as scientific research, education, and academic world, my tutor told me that I should mention every given topic. No, you won't be able to do that. They're giving you just examples of things like, and you should try and cover as much as you can, but you won't be able to, because that's like 3 different essays. You won't be able to do that, and they don't expect you to do that. Could be right. Sharing personal information builds trust between employees and employers. Yeah, that'll be fine as long as you explain it properly. That'd be fine. I heard that examples starting with a reach carried out in Oxford University suggested that, or according to data given by British Police Department, examples are not good examples. They can be bad and they can be good. It depends on what you actually put in there. It doesn't matter whether you use Oxford University, for example. It depends on the actual thing that you write. But just using Oxford University does not mean. What the teacher probably meant there is that most people who use that type of example mess it up, so don't do it. Do you agree that IELTS writing is way too difficult for foreign students to get more than 6.5? Considering that I help people every single day get more than 6.5, no, I don't think it's very difficult. I think that there's a huge amount of bad information out there, and an even larger number of poor teachers, and most people who are struggling and are getting a 6.5, it's not because they're 6.5 level, it's because they're just doing the wrong things. Like, for example, the way they use vocabulary is just totally wrong. They're trying to use words that they just don't know how to use. They're using structures that, for example, the person that just said, 70% one side and 30% the other. If you're given bad information and you're told how to do something poorly, then of course you're going to get a lower score than you deserve. But if you look at my testimonials, that's proof that it's not very difficult when you're taught how to do it properly. Shurish, my writing style is simple with few range of vocabulary words. Every word is a vocabulary word. So Shurish, you either do not know what vocabulary is or how it's marked, or you've been taught in a way that is giving you the wrong information about vocabulary. So I would suggest that you find someone who knows what they're talking about to give you information about that. Any advice on max number of words? Yeah, I wouldn't go over around 300 for task 2, and I wouldn't go over around 200 for task 1, because it's about quality, it's not about quantity. Will spelling mistakes impact the score? Yes, most definitely. Can we use short forms in main body paragraphs, like can't or won't? In general, you should avoid those, but can't, that's fine to do that. Fatima, I don't know how to make topic sentences. Just state the main reason in a short, clear sentence. The main reason. So you're going to have main reasons. Take that main reason, put it in a short sentence. That's it. But it would be better if you got feedback from someone on whether you're doing it properly. Does articles and helping verbs count for words in writing? Of course they do. All words are words. Is it possible to resit only the writing part? No, it's not. It should be. I agree. I think it should be. I don't agree with it, but you can't. Is your full VIP course for writing and reading opening tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open it on Saturday. The reason we're doing that is there's very few places available. So there's 2,500 of you, and there's only a very small number of places available. So what I'm going to do is give you guys all the information about it, and then open the door at an agreed time so that it's fair. Because every time we do this, there's a number of people that we say, like, sorry, you just can't come in, and people get angry with us. So we're going to open it up then. Sir, do you also teach OET? No, I do not teach OET. How to learn about the right punctuation? In the same way that you would learn about any grammar, you would learn the rules first, then you would do lots of practice activities. Through those practice activities, you will make lots of mistakes. You learn from your mistakes, and you just continue on in that cycle. But grammar is really just rules. So you just have to learn the rules, practice activities, learn from your mistakes. You'll slowly get better at grammar. Thank you, Mon. That's nice of you to say. Jacqueline, very good question. Jacqueline Batistuta. Should we time ourselves when completing a task, or just let the time go? Excellent question. When you're learning something new, take as much time as you want, and then slowly build up as your confidence increases. Like when you're learning how to drive a car or ride a bike or something like that, you wouldn't go full speed. You wouldn't learn how to drive a car by driving it at 60 miles an hour immediately. When you're learning new things, take as much time. Like with a lot of my VIP students, what I do with them is, let's say they're doing task 1 academic. So normally it would take 20 minutes. I'll say take a full hour. So take an hour to think about everything, focus on what you're doing because you're learning new things. And then as their confidence builds up, slowly, they build up to doing them in 20 minutes. That's much, much better than trying to do it in 20 minutes immediately. How to explain the topic sentence. We dealt with that in the lesson, so have a look there. If you make few spelling and grammar mistakes, is it still possible to get a band 7? Yeah. For a band 7, or to get more than a band 6 for grammar and vocabulary, What you should be aiming for are error-free sentences. So sentences that have no grammar and vocabulary errors at all. People who have a band 7 or above, more than 50% of their sentences have no errors in them at all. Most of you, from what I've seen, most of your sentences have at least one error in them. Most of you have multiple errors in multiple sentences. So if you want to be getting a 7 or above for grammar and vocabulary, you need to get to the level where you can write a full sentence with no mistakes in it. So that includes spelling, that includes punctuation, includes all of that. How much are the fees for your VIP course? Let's talk about that another time. I'm trying to get through as many questions as I can. Are there any past exam papers available online, Liana? Yeah, just Google it. The 4 reliable sources are IDP, British Council, Cambridge English, and IELTS.org. Any other websites, don't rely on them, because a lot of websites create like free practice materials, and the person writing them doesn't know what they're doing, so they're either very, very, very difficult or very, very, very easy, especially reading and listening tests. And the writing questions can be very, very confusing, so don't use fake practice materials. Is it necessary to keep the size of the both body paragraphs the same? I've heard that if the words are too less in either of them, you might lose marks. So, like, think about what they're testing you on. Think about why you're doing the IELTS test. Are you doing the IELTS test so that you can write 2 paragraphs with exactly the same number of words in them? Or are you doing the IELTS test so that you can clearly communicate in English? Is having 2 paragraphs with exactly the same number of words in it a test of whether you can clearly communicate in English? No. So they should generally be around the same, because you're going to develop your main ideas. But it just shocks me. Not your fault. You've obviously been given bad information, but it just shocks me the level of advice that people are getting. It upsets me, because there's millions of people just failing this test because they're getting advice like that. Like, it's just really pisses me off. Not the students, the teachers that are doing this. Should we state our opinion in advantages and disadvantages essay? No, because if it just says state the advantages and disadvantages, discuss these, you don't need to give your opinion. No, because it doesn't ask you to give your opinion. How can I manage my time? You don't need time management techniques or tips or anything like that. You just need to get better at writing. The better you are at writing, the faster you'll be able to do it. So, like, those 2 paragraphs that I wrote, they took me 5 minutes to write, because I just know I've done it so many times and I know exactly what I'm doing. I just, like, with a lot of my students, when they first start with me, it takes them really, really long to figure everything out, because they're learning everything. They're learning all the different types of essays and all the different structures and how to do this and how to do that. It takes them a very long time. But just like, riding a bike or driving a car or tying your shoelaces, just as you get used to it and as you do it, it becomes a habit and just gets easier and you get faster at it. But there's no like tips or time management techniques. You don't need that. You just need to get better at writing. Should our essay cover different kinds of sentences, like past, future, present continuous? No. So I'm just despairing at the advice that people are giving. Imagine writing an essay where not only do you need to write the essay and to write an answer to the question, they put extra difficulty in by telling you that you need to talk about the past, present, and future, and you need to use every single different tense. Like, I couldn't do that. Like, I really couldn't do that. That would be impossible. They do not expect you to do that. You will naturally use a range of grammar. You will naturally use a range of different structures, but you shouldn't go in thinking, okay, I'm going to write about the past, and then I'm going to write about the present, and then I'm going to write about... Like, that's just crazy. Who are these teachers that are telling you this stuff? Like, we should start a website where we, like, name and shame these people, like, because it's just crazy. Again, not your fault, not the students' fault. It's some teachers that are just like, I don't know. Is it possible to get a 7 on the basis of just good grammar and vocabulary without any good ideas? No, no. That would be very strange. It would be very, very, very strange for someone to have really good grammar, really good vocabulary, but just everything else is terrible. You don't normally get those freak students. You don't normally get students, on the other side, you don't normally get students who have like really good task achievement and really good coherence and cohesion, but very low grammar and vocabulary. Because good grammar and vocabulary improves coherence. It improves task achievement because it enables you to write a clear essay that answers the question clearly. So yeah. Does your writing course have limited spots? Yes. All of our, like the VIP services have limited spots because we give you so much one-on-one help, and we like to keep the numbers really, really small because I don't want to feel like that, like the way I'm feeling at the moment, like really, really tired. I'd rather make less money and have a nice life than, you know, be dealing with lots and lots and lots and lots of people. Because it's just not nice to be tired all the time. Okay, 1 hour is up, Arshdeep. Thank you very much for reminding me. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna go again. Sorry for like being very tired and irritable and everything. It's just I haven't slept much this week, and I've just been basically getting up, working, and then going to bed, and it's just like constantly working and stuff. And yeah, normally I'm not like this. Normally I'm a lot chirpier and everything. So yeah, sorry if I'm a little bit irritable and stuff like that. And again, what makes me irritable is not you guys. It's just seeing the questions that indicate that there are so many people out there giving you really, really bad advice. So yeah, keep the questions coming because it's good to clarify these doubts and good to give you guys some clarification. Let me think. Tomorrow, vocabulary, it's all done. All I have to do is just upload the video. We're going to work on paraphrasing and we're going to work on conclusions also. That might sound a bit strange, but it'll be very clear. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate all the questions, all the comments. Keep it going. 2 more days left and then you will have completed everything. Thank you very much.